this organization. Do you know what it's called?
Its name is Spectre.
Look around you, James. Everything you believed in, a ruin. Why did you come?
How are you doing today, sir?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. Yourself?
I'm doing excellent. As I said to you off camera, I am so effing excited for this movie, and I'm so happy you're a part of it.
Yeah, me too.
Describe the where and when that you found out you were going to be in Spectre.
Well, it was, a little bit of a process, not like the process with Guardians, but it was a little bit of a process. When my agent called me with my manager, which is usually the case, and they said, they just threw it out there, hey, how would you feel about being in the James Bond film? I was like, hell yeah, and I knew they were just asking me to be, it's just a formality, but I knew they knew what my answer was going to be. And I was like, hell yeah, are you kidding me? And they said, okay, well, they reached out to us, which was a totally new thing, because, up to that point, I was still, knocking on doors, trying to get people, and just meetings, trying to get roles. So to have, like, such a huge franchise actually reach out to us and ask us to audition was like a whole different experience. But anyway, that's how it initially started, and so I did the audition, and it was a little bit of a process. They kept looking through auditions, and they made me aware that Sam kept going back to mine, watching my audition, watching it over and over, and finally got the call. It said, well, Sam would like to meet you. They really want you for the role, but they want to see how you guys get along, make sure you can coexist. And I think it's just one of those things, again, where people, until they meet me, they don't know what to expect because of, I think, mostly my appearance and my background. I think people think that I'm going to be that guy, I'm just not that guy. So anyway, we met, and they called and said, well, you've got the role, and I about crap my pants and said, here we go, back to London, man. That's all right, that's my spot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did Sam ask you to do anything or watch anything prior to filming?
Not at all. No, actually, we went over, and it was so funny, man. We went over, and we didn't talk a whole lot about the role. We actually it was kind of a meet and greet type thing, and I had done a little bit of research on Sam. I was familiar with his career accolades, but wasn't really familiar with him as a person. So I'd gone back and I'd watched a Charlie Rose interview, and they had talked a lot about Cabaret. So that was one of the things we started talking about, was Cabaret, him directing Cabaret. And we talked about that probably more than we talked about actually at Bond. And then he, before I left, he said, do you have any questions? And I said, I have two. And I said, is Mr. Hinx badass? And he said, oh yeah, Mr. Hinx is a badass. And I said, well, is Mr. Hinx intelligent? And he said, very. And I said, man, I really want this role, just so we're clear. I said, I want to be here, I want to be a part of this. So, and that was when I left, and maybe a week or so later, we got the call and said, man, if you got the role.
I have to ask what it was like first day on set, and what can you tease people about maybe what you did? What was your first scene, or is it too much of a spoiler?
No, it's actually not. And it was one of those, it's really cool. And I had the same experience with Guardians. When you come in, my first day on Guardians as well as Bond, it's usually a very simple scene that you're starting out with. So the scene that I started out with it was an Austrian scene, but it was actually in studio in London. But it wasn't so much as that. It was me walking into a deserted home.
I understand.
Not a very exciting story, but that was it. It was being broken in slowly.
My last thing for you, because I got to go. Well, what else can you tease people about the character? And are you sort of having fun holding it all back, being so secretive?
No, no, it's not fun. And I don't like dancing around the answers. It's a challenge for me, and I think the challenge is because I'm excited. And I want to share, and I want to talk about the character because it's a badass, memorable character, and I want to talk about him, but. Yeah, it's just one of those things that's, how things are nowadays. You say one wrong thing and it just spreads across the internet. And everybody knows, and then they're not as excited when you go and watch it. It's just, spoiler alert, man. You just don't want to put it out there. But it's not easy. And also, it just popped in my head, going back to your other question about my first day on set, because it was my first experience working with Sam as a director. And the comparison, let me make the comparison. I don't have a whole lot to compare it to, but if I compared it to Guardians, because that's the only other really large production I've been a part of. Guardians, when you walked on set, usually if we weren't filming, it was so loud because everybody was laughing and having fun. It was like a bunch of kids. And if you walk onto a Sam Mendes set, it's like being in church. I'm not kidding. You could hear a pin drop. It's very quiet and everything is. It's not serious in a bad way, but everybody is very serious and very quiet, very British.
Is this really what you want? Living in the shadows, hunting, being hunted, always alone.
I don't stop to think about it. It was me, James. The author of all your pain.